What's up, my seniors and senioritas? This is Bo Reason from Bo Life, coming to you guys today to give you a quick story time about the worst weekend of my life. Like, when I tell you this is the craziest weekend of my life, I got a divorce, I lost my job, and I got attacked by an ex-girlfriend all in the same fucking weekend. It was crazy. Let me set the tone. It was back in like 2017. I'm a little younger, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. I wasn't divorced yet. I was still separated, but we weren't together. I was living in my own apartment. She was living at her own house. Yada, yada, yada. We tried therapy, didn't work. So we were just waiting for the divorce, which was, divorce to be settled, which was that weekend. So anyways, I was talking to this girl who was crazy. I'm not sure, like, now if she was just crazy or just, like, super crazy about me, but she was definitely nuts. Like, she was a Leo, which I think all Leos are crazy. I'm sorry. If you're a Leo, you're offended. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, but you guys are nuts. Also, she was half German and half Jamaican. She was crazy. Like, there's already, like, a lot of craziness going on. Like, Jamaican, or was it Haitian, or something like that. Anyways, let's say her name was Linda. Like, Linda was freaking nuts. Like, she was wild. Like, she was an ex-stripper, tongue ring, Marilyn Monroe piercings. She was in the tarot readings like I was. I did a tarot reading with her, and for me, like, I did her reading, and hers came out like really good. She said, "Oh, it does make sense, I'm not gonna give away her reading." But for mine, I'm looking like, no, this can't be it. It was the most terrible reading I've ever seen. I got the Tower card, which is like major endings and your whole foundation is crashing. I got the Devil card, which was addiction, and I got like Justice, and it was a lot of bad cards had dropped for me. And I'm like, no, this can't be. This isn't real. This isn't me. So I blew it off. Didn't think much about it until a couple weeks later. The weekend happened. So what happened was, I want to say a Friday. A Friday happened. I go to work, a regular day. Mind you, I hated my boss at this time. I'm in nursing, so it was a new DON was there. I didn't like her. She didn't like me. It was already known. I don't even know why I even stayed there, but this is exactly why you should listen to the cards when they tell you stuff like this. It was a warning. So I get to work, regular day. My name's not on the schedule. Why am I not on the schedule? It's a regular day. I work every freaking Friday. So they're like, oh, well, the DON, your boss wants to talk to you about something. It just says talk to DON. But she doesn't get to work till like 9 o'clock. It was already like 7 or why would I sit here and wait for her until 9 o'clock? That's crazy. She could have just called me for whatever she wanted. I didn't think much of it. I'm not on the schedule. I'm going home. I went home. I was already in the midst of the divorce. So that day, actually that same day, I was already scheduled to go to court. Since I was off, we had time to get it done early. We got it done. We were there. It was crazy because the lawyer that she had was some random old Caucasian guy, big trousers, big, files and folders. He looks like he works for drug dealers, trying to get drug dealers off. Like, it was the most typical lawyer of all time. So, we get there, we do the usual thing. I'm not really thinking much of it until that judge banged that hammer. I'm like, whoa, I am really divorced. Like, it was crazy. Like, it was the craziest feeling. Like, we've been married and, I've known this woman for, basically my whole life. We were high school sweethearts. When that hammer went down, oh my God, it was just like a wake-up call. Like, wow, like, I'm really not married anymore. Like, wow, this really didn't work. Cool, it is what it is. So we're driving home because we drove there together. She drops me off and I'm like, hey, let's chill for one more night. Why not? I'm single, quote unquote, and I'm not sure if she was. Well, I do, but that's later on in the story. So we chill, we're doing our thing, we're watching the movie, yada, yada, yada. The crazy girl. Now, the crazy girl, one thing about her, she always popped up. And people are like, oh, you're just calling her crazy. It's because, like, no, she was really crazy. One time, I gave her a key to my house because she was still asleep. And she made a copy of my key. She broke into my house. Like, I didn't give her permission. That's not just open. No, I woke up and she was staring at me. And then she left out the door. picked up a paper clip and I'm like, how did you get in my house? She picked up a random paper clip, like, oh, I just used this to open your door. Like, no, that's not possible. You show me how you did that. This motherfucker made an extra key. I let you stay in my house. Anyways, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, she is nuts. People we used to work together too at the same job. People used to tell me like something's wrong with her, like in her head, but I didn't see it. I was, too much lost in the sauce, I guess. Anyways, so on this day, she decides to pop up. She called me back to back to back. I sent her a text like, oh, I'm at my brother's house. She knew that shit was a lie. She used to sneak into the parking lot. Now, you used to have to use a key card to get inside of my parking lot. So outside, if you don't live there or have a key, you can't even get in. So she waits until somebody goes in and she goes in right behind them. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I've never dealt with anything like that in my life. Anyways, that night I'm thinking like, oh, she can't get in, but she's calling me, leaving me voicemails. I listened to one voicemail that kind of struck me as odd. Now I'm sitting here chilling with, my now ex-wife. The voicemail was like, oh, you're at your brother's house? Cool, well, I'm still on my way. Or something like that. And I'm like, she gonna pop up. To get inside of the apartment building, you still needed the same key. I don't know how she got in there. She knocking on the door. I'm like, no, this can't be real. So I'm like, let's just blow it off. I'm still with my ex. We're listening to her knock on the door. She knocked for an hour. We're watching a movie. I counted it because it was in the middle of the movie. We're watching Creed. She's knocking on the door. And like for an hour, still calling my phone, all this. So my ex is like, you need to go talk to her. She's not gonna leave. I don't know what time this was, but it was dark. So maybe around 8 or 9. I opened the door. Why did I even do that? I should have just left her out there for 2 days straight. Oh my God. So who in the house, trying to go inside the house. My ex is right there at the door. I'm like, my ex is gonna beat your ass. Like, I don't know what is going on. Like, this is about to be some violent shit that's gonna be all on my behalf. Like, there's gonna be a fight that breaks loose. So I would not let her in the door. Like, I had to lock the door, lock myself out. I didn't even have a key at this time. We're sitting out there arguing. She calling me on my name, blah, blah, blah. So I finally get her to walk out and leave. She's walking to her car. I don't even know what possessed me. This is probably my fault. I kept going at her. Cause I'm like, how are you popping up and getting mad at me and we're not even together? She had me amped up at this point. Like, you had the audacity to break into the apartment complex, and call me out and we're not even boyfriend or girlfriend? Like, one thing I don't understand about women that I had to understand now. I understand it now, but this time I didn't. And guys, you should listen up to. If you're with a girl and you keep saying y'all not together, but you keep treating her like she's your girlfriend, y'all playing that boyfriend and girlfriend role, she coming over there every day, you feeding her, you living with her, basically, you're treating her like she's basically your fiance or your wife, y'all go together, whether you like it or not. Now, we might not agree, but women are just like that. That just is what it is. You can't play that role with a woman and then expect her to think differently. So when I say that we're not together, in my mind we weren't together, but I know in her mind, basically, I know now that she thought we were together. I guess that's just a part of growing up. So I'm still going at her because I'm still mad. Like, I had the right to be mad because you still broke into all this shit just to call me out, fucking up my good time. So she gets mad at me, right? She pulls out a crowbar. She pulls out a crowbar and she's looking for the car that looks like my ex's. So she goes to the car, and I'm like, no, you can't break this window. Like, this is my ex's car. Like, I'm not about to just let you break a window. So we out there arguing. This lasted for like maybe 15 minutes. We just going back and forth. She's trying to hit the window. I'm trying to protect the car with my hand. So she's hitting my hand. The next thing I know, people are out there talking about leave her alone, let her break the window. I'm like, no, why don't y'all help? Maybe stop her, open the door so she can leave, open the gate. So we out there arguing. I try to call the police. They basically blew me off. Call 911. They're like, well, she's not causing any anger, why don't you just let her break the window? I'm in my mind, I'm like, no, windows are expensive, fuck her. So she gets in her car. She's trying to hit my ex's car with her car. And I'm still like, I should have just left her alone at this point. Because you don't fuck with, like, people are that crazy. You just let people be crazy, let them do what they gotta do. They'll be gone in a minute. She almost ran me over. It was the most craziest. I really felt my life like flashing before my eyes. Because I'm holding the door open and she's reversing and going back and forth. My feet are like dragging like a rag doll. So it was just the craziest thing. So finally she decides to leave. My ex, I think I was able to get my key from her because she's watching the whole thing now with the neighbors from downstairs. She hands me the key and I'm like, okay, I'll let you loose. I'll let you go, blah, blah, blah. She didn't hit the window, but she's still yelling, you ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, that's why you got fired from your job. That's the only reason I came over here with your broke ass. You're going to be fishing for a check. I'm like, when the fuck did I get fired? I thought about it. That's why my boss took me off the schedule to talk to me. But I'm like, nah, that still can't be. I don't know what. She's just crazy. She don't know what she's talking about. It's no way possible that I can even get out. So I let her out. She, curses me out. At this point, I'm not about to keep dealing with crazy. Like, you that crazy? Bye. Just go. Do your thing. Anyway, so I go back in the house. I tell my ex, like, you know what? You should go because she going to break your window. It isn't safe for you. I'll stay here because, I don't want to go back to your house with the kids because the kids are going to, like, why is dad here? You guys aren't together. You guys just got a divorce. So I'm like, you just go do your thing. She's like, okay, but that wasn't my car. I'm like, what? How the hell was that not your? What do you mean that's your car? That's the car I got hit for. That's the car I almost got ran over for. That is your car. If it's not, it's your car now. If it's not your car, that's your fucking car now. She tells me no. I just didn't say anything because I didn't want her to know what my real car was. I'm like, oh my God. So we left in her real car after Linda left. I got in my ex-wife's car and she told me I need to file a police report. Because she might come back, anything can happen. She can say anything that happened. She might try to go on my nursing license because of all this crazy stuff that's going on. So I took her word on it and I had to go make a police report. Craziest thing is that when I gave the police the name, they knew who she was. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Just leave it like that. They knew who she was and they weren't surprised. That's the craziest thing. So that is when she dropped me off and I was like, it's probably not safe for you to be here. She might come back. So I let my ex-wife go and I told her I'll see her in the morning. And then I go back in my room and I'm still thinking like, she might have a key. So I had to barricade my door, sat in front of it with like a bat or like my granddad's machete that he gave me. And I just fell asleep in the chair. Next morning, I'm with my ex-wife. We're just chilling, and even after the divorce, even after that night, we were still talking about getting back together. Like, dang, I didn't have this much problems when I was, with you or whatever. This was my ex-wife. So she's like, yeah, so we're talking about getting back together. If I'm like, well, why don't we just get back together now? It's just, she's like, well, I can't. I have a boyfriend. I'm like, what? So, what's crazy is the only reason I got mad because she never told me. I'm sitting here with her at my house, and I'm like thinking like maybe we got something going on. Maybe even after the divorce, maybe we can work this out. But she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend or somebody I'm talking to. And even then, I'm like, okay, that's cool, because that's understandable. I had somebody I was talking to too, even though you didn't tell me. And I was being upfront with you. Why don't you stop talking to him? So me and you can be together. She told me no. And that struck me for odd because it's like, we've been together for all this time. She made it seem like they're not even boyfriend or girlfriend. She don't know what's going on between them. You're going to push me to the side for that. She basically wanted me to be in competition with that guy. And I'm like, I'm not about to be in competition with anybody. Like, if you gotta choose, you can choose him, because I'm not doing that. That's no. I don't know who the hell you think or what you think this is. Long story short, we went our separate ways. What's funny is the next time I went to work was Monday. I did end up losing my job. That boss I had was such a B word, but it's a good thing I did lose my job because the next job I went to was where I met Josie, my wife now, and we have a child together and everything's lovely. It's just crazy. Like, that whole weekend was just insane. Like, You know, the divorce is being finalized, you know, from someone you've known, you know, basically forever, your whole life, to being attacked by this new girl, you know, to losing my job. Like when I lost my job, it was sad because that was my first nursing job. The original boss that I had ended up dying, so the new one was the one that I didn't get along with. So it was crazy how everything like kind of like played out. So when I say I pulled that tower card for a reason, it was for a reason. Like my whole foundation changed. Like everything I thought about, like life and everything, literally it all ended up being to where I ended up being with Josie, which is so crazy. Like if none of that would have happened, I could have still been with my ex-wife. I could have still went at that job where I didn't meet Josie. I could have been with that crazy ex-girl. I guess when everything falls apart, it does fall into place. Dang, even still thinking about it now, like that was crazy how everything happened. Yeah. Anyways, that's my story, guys. I can't drag this out any longer. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. I'm going to come back with more. With that being said, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what your favorite part was, or if you ever had anything close to this craziness, or tell me about your worst weekend ever. On that note, hope you guys are staying safe, staying positive, staying healthy, and staying woke. Adios, my amigos. Peace.